Before you hear a single fact about physics, let me say this. You're not here because you wanted to give up on wonder. You're not here because the idea of traveling among the stars feels like a failure of imagination. You're here because somewhere inside you, there's a yearning, a longing to break past limits, to escape the grind of daily life, to place yourself amidst infinity. You want more than survival. You want meaning. You want possibilities that stretch beyond the horizon of your known world. And that yearning is real. It matters. You're not wrong for it. But there's a certain kind of pain that comes with longing. The same pain you feel when you want someone to love you, but they never fully show up, or when you chase a dream that keeps retreating just as you get close. There's a disconnect between desire and reality that grips you, and it's deeply human. And today, we're going to look at one of the grandest desires of all, interstellar travel. Not as a sci-fi fantasy, not as wishful thinking, but through the lens of physics, psychology, and the quiet truth about human limitations. And we're going to do it in a way that validates what you feel, while also honoring what is real. Before we dive into equations and impossibilities, let's address that pulse in your chest, that emotional undercurrent that brought you here. You might feel frustration when confronted with limits. You might wonder if boundaries mean you're not ambitious enough. You might even feel like accepting physical impossibilities somehow makes you less. But nothing could be further from the truth. Accepting reality doesn't diminish your spirit. It clarifies it. It grounds you. It frees your energy for things you can change. You'll see that clearly as we go forward. So take a breath. Let your worries soften for a moment. What I'm going to share with you isn't here to crush you, but to clear your view. It's here to separate what you want from what's possible, so your inner world doesn't get lost in an unreachable dream. Let's begin. You've probably heard stories about traveling to distant stars. Maybe you watched Interstellar or Star Trek, or you read novels where humanity jumps light years with some kind of miracle engine. It feels intuitive. If we can go to the moon, why not to Alpha Centauri? Why not to a new world where life might be waiting? You might even feel a pinch, as if someone is implicitly telling you, you just haven't tried hard enough. That itch for possibility is part of what makes humans human. It's also part of what makes hope complicated. Let's look at what physicists, not dreamers with pens, have to say about the practicality of such journeys. And when I bring up Richard Feynman, one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, it's not to mystify you. It's to anchor our discussion in clarity. Feynman was a man who saw reality clearly and loved it, even when it wasn't Hollywood spectacular. You can too. At the heart of this conversation is one of the most famous limits in physics, the speed of light. It's not just an arbitrary number, it's a fundamental boundary of how our universe works. Light travels at about 299,792 kilometers per second. That's fast, unimaginably fast. But no matter how advanced you imagine a future engine, no matter how clever the technology, nothing with mass can travel as fast as light. Not a spaceship, not a person, not even a particle with weight. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, what about warp drives? What about wormholes? And those ideas are fun. They are great theater. But when Feynman and others talk about these concepts, they do so with a very specific caveat. These are speculative, highly theoretical constructs, not practical engineering pathways. They come with enormous caveats and require physics we have no evidence for. And most importantly, they don't actually let you beat the speed of light. They just dress up the problem in fancy language. This is where the psychological part comes in. When you latch onto possibilities that are fundamentally speculative, it's often because your brain is avoiding a painful truth, that some things are simply not attainable no matter how much you want them. And that avoidance feels familiar because in life, when you're denied something, love, acceptance, peace, you cling to any narrative that keeps the hope alive. You do this because hope feels safer than grief, but it can also trap you. So let's slow down and look at the actual scale we're talking about. The closest star to Earth, excluding our Sun, is Proxima Centauri, about 4.24 light-years away. That means light itself, the fastest thing in the universe, takes over 4 years to make the trip. Let that sink in for a moment. Now imagine something with mass, a spaceship with people aboard, trying to do the same. Even if it could go at 99.999% of the speed of light, which current physics allows in theory but not in practice, the journey would still take about 4 years. That might sound manageable until you realize the energy required to push something with mass to that fraction of light speed is beyond astronomical. It's essentially infinite. Here's the core idea. The closer you get to the speed of light, the more energy you need. It's not a straight line. It's a curve that spikes upward. You pour more and more energy in, and your gains get smaller and smaller. You never actually reach the speed of light. It's like trying to sprint faster and faster, only to find the track keeps stretching under your feet. You get tired, you strain, and yet the finish line never comes closer. Feynman explained these limitations not in a dry textbook way, but with elegant simplicity. He reminded us that physics isn't about wishful thinking. It's about understanding what's possible within the rules of our universe. And in the case of interstellar travel, the rules are absolute. No technology exists, or is even remotely plausible, that can propel you to another star within a human lifetime without breaking the fundamental laws of physics as we know them. Now, if this feels like a kind of loss, let's sit with that for a moment. It's okay to grieve a dream, but it's also okay to recognize that your yearning for the stars isn't a mistake. It's a reflection of your desire for expansion, for adventure, for meaning beyond monotony. The universe gave you curiosity, and that's a gift. But gifts are different from guarantees. You don't have to give up on meaningful human exploration. You don't have to stop imagining. What you can do is channel your longing into things that are both vast and reachable. Think about the psychological weight of living with an unreachable dream. It's like chasing someone who's emotionally unavailable. The pain comes from hoping that one day they'll show up. But what if you shifted your hope toward people and experiences that can respond to you? That's not settling. That's wisdom. And this is where your inner narrative matters. You might be someone who's used to pushing boundaries, who's comfortable with ambiguity, who thrives in the what if. That's a strength. But it's also a vulnerability when you hold on to hopes that have no physical anchor. You end up in this in-between space where your desires outpace your reality, and that's exhausting. So let's talk about what is possible. If we can't travel to other stars within human lifespans, what can we do? We can explore our own solar system. We can send robotic explorers, probes that stretch our senses farther than we could ever physically go. We can deepen our understanding of physics, of consciousness, of life itself. And here's the twist. The inner journey, the psychological exploration, is as vast as the universe you're dreaming of. You can travel to the edges of your own emotional world, to the dark matter of your fears, your attachments, your yearnings. There's no boundary there that's any less mysterious than a distant star. Pause for a second and consider this. The brain contains more connections than there are stars in the galaxy. Every memory, every feeling, every impulse, it's a cosmos unto itself. And yet, you get to explore that, consciously. That's real. That's touchable. That's yours. So before we go any further, I want to invite you, gently, without pressure, to reflect on why this topic resonates so deeply with you. Is it the physics itself, or is it what interstellar travel represents? Is it freedom, escape, the yearning to transcend limitations? Whatever your answer is, it's valid. You don't need to hide from it. By the way, if you're finding value in this kind of deep, reflective exploration, where mind and reality intersect, go ahead and subscribe. Join this community. We're here to question, to explore, to feel, and to learn. You're not alone in this. Now let's bring Feynman back into the picture. He once said something along the lines of, "Nature's imagination is so much greater than ours." What he meant was that the universe isn't something you conquer with willpower or wishful thinking. It's something you understand. And understanding doesn't diminish wonder, it amplifies it. Because when you see reality clearly, you see how astonishingly intricate and rich it is. Understanding that interstellar travel at near light speed is physically impossible doesn't mean the universe is small. It means the universe is honest. It gives you rules, and within those rules, there is still unimaginable beauty. Quantum mechanics, black holes, the way particles behave like waves, the way consciousness emerges from matter. These are mysteries that can humble even the most brilliant minds. So when you feel disappointment about the limits of space travel, recognize that disappointment isn't a flaw in you. It's a human reaction to confronting a boundary. But here's the critical part. Boundaries don't exist to confine you. They exist to help you orient yourself. They tell you where you are so you can make meaningful choices about where to put your energy. And just like in relationships, Where healthy boundaries make connection possible, boundaries in physics let you understand what can actually happen. Without them, you'd be adrift in confusion. With them, you can build, create, explore, in ways that are genuinely within reach. Let's touch on another psychological dynamic, the allure of the impossible. The impossible feels romantic because it's not tied to real consequence. It's like pursuing someone who's completely unavailable. The chase feels exciting because there's no real response. There's no risk of emotional vulnerability, no chance of genuine connection. Impossible things don't touch you back. But that's also why they can become addictive. They let you project all your hopes onto something that will never ask anything of you. Real missions, like a rover on Mars or telescopes that peer across billions of light years, respond. They give data. They change your perspective. They teach you. They are alive in their own way. And they expand you without retreating from you. You might be thinking, but that's not as glamorous as jumping to another star. And you're right. It's not. But what if real wonder is subtler and deeper than the flashy stuff you see in movies? What if reality, with all its limitations, is still more astonishing than fiction? That's what Feynman believed, that the real world, when you understand it, is more beautiful than anything you can imagine. Now let's talk about scale in another way. Not just physical distance, but psychological distance. You've got layers of yourself that are unexplored. You have potentials and fears you haven't met. Those are frontiers as vast as any galaxy. And the journey inward, understanding why you cling to dreams that might be unreachable, is deeply transformative. When you understand your motivations, your wounds, your longing, you become more grounded. You become yourself in a way that's stronger and more fluid. And here's the empowering part. When you understand your reality, not in a resigned way, but in an honest way, you gain power over your choices. You stop chasing shadows. You stop burning energy on what can't respond. You start investing yourself where you can grow, connect, and create. There's a scene in Interstellar where they talk about love as something that transcends dimensions. That's poetic. But here's the grounded truth. Love doesn't transcend physical reality. It shapes human reality. It changes your brain. It changes your behavior. It changes your life. That's not fantastical. That's real. And the universe that allows love is far more astonishing than one that lets you break the speed of light. So as we approach the close of this journey, not to a distant star but to clarity, let's bring this home. Your desire to explore the universe, to reach beyond what's known, is part of your brilliance. It's part of your heart. But the universe doesn't reward escaping reality. It rewards engagement with reality, with all its rules, all its boundaries, all its beauty. You don't have to stop dreaming. You just have to dream within the realm of what can become real. That doesn't make your dreams smaller. It makes them more powerful. You can dream about building technologies that deepen human life in ways we haven't yet imagined. You can dream about psychological exploration that frees you from unconscious limitations. You can dream about how humanity might one day expand its presence in ways that don't defy physics, but honor it. That's not surrender. That's wisdom. That's strength. That's clarity. If you've felt seen or stretched or comforted by this conversation, take a moment and let that feeling settle in. It's real. It's yours. And it's grounded in understanding, not illusion. If you want more conversations like this, ones that honor both your heart and your mind, subscribe, and let's continue exploring together. You are allowed to long for the extraordinary. You are also allowed to see what's actually possible. And what is possible? Your inner universe, the real world around you, the connections you make, the understanding you build, is far grander than you've been led to believe. Rest in that. Step into that. And trust yourself to keep exploring, not away from reality, but within it. Synchrony 9.